Hello and welcome to Res Indica Mind Maps. We are a repository of around 1000 mind maps, which will make your UPSC preparation a cakewalk. You can download the link of the app given in the description. You can also join our Telegram channel, the link of which has been given in the description below. So first of all, if we talk about that, why was this in news? This was this in news because some people who have been using the hate crimes through the application part, they have been arrested as of now. There are some mobile apps which are used by the perpetrators of hate crime. They have been arrested. Okay, so this is the reason why this was in news. Now, what are the offenses which motivate hate crime? Okay, so if I talk about some offenses, they are based on ethnicity, based on sexual orientation, based on race, based on religion, disability, and national origin. Okay, so now if you ask me the ethnicity part of it, ethnicity means that you have some kind of an emotional connect to any particular thing. That can be a region, that can be a religion, that can be your nationality. Many a times we are being asked to distinguish between race and ethnicity. Okay, see, race and ethnicity, they have a very single line which distinguish between the two. That is, race is purely a biological construct, and ethnicity, this is a psychological construct. Okay, so barring this particular difference, each and everything is similar in particular kind of things. So if I give you an example based on ethnicity, what we see that if the people of northeastern states, they belong to the Mongoloid race, okay, and the people of the northern region, they belong to the Aryan race. So when northeast people, they come to Delhi for higher education, it is found that they are being discriminated at. They are also subject to a lot of violence. This violence is based on ethnic differences, and the manifestation of this difference is shown in the form of hate crimes. Okay, now the second part is sexual orientation. How does sexual orientation becomes hate crimes? We have seen that apart from the dual nature of sexuality, which the society had inculcated from time immemorial, that is male and female, this has been shattered to pieces. Today, we cannot define sexuality on a dual basis. Today, sexuality is defined on a dual basis plus a certain rainbow coalition, which is known by the name of LGBTQ community. Okay, so we see many a times that the people belonging to the LGBTQ community, they are being inflicted with a lot of violence. Why? Because the people, they are not able to distinguish the differences between them. Many people, they are of opinion that these people who go through certain kind of different sexuality which they don't understand, they are ill by some nature. Moreover, even if we talk about the dual nature of sexuality between male and female, then female, they always have to face a lot of hate crimes going through them. Now, the simple manifestation of one of the hate crime is acid attacks. Okay, in recent day also there was one incident where a teenager, okay, he tried to throw some acid on a girl, and he had bought it from the Flipkart. So Flipkart was reprimanded by the authorities, and Flipkart was asked that how can they make the availability of acid so accessible. Okay, so what is this? This is hate crime. Again, moving forward, when we talk about the aspects of race, again, I have told you that race and ethnicity, they are a bit similar, but just is that race is a biological construct. Race can be on the basis of color. Okay, so can any one of you tell me that what logic defines this particular argument that a person who are dark complexioned, they are by nature violent, and people who are by nature fair complexioned, they are a bit more compassionate, they have a lot of feelings and so on and so forth. Okay, so on this basis also, a lot of hate crime is inflicted upon the people who belong to the dark complexion or black or brown. Many a times what we find is that when Indians, they go to the European nations, they are also inflicted with a lot of violence. Many hate crimes are committed against them. The recent example can be taken of Indian students studying in Australia. Okay, these students are always targeted upon. Keep in mind these things. Religion. I did not explain how religion in the form of communalism, it perpetuates hate crime. Disability, many a time disabled people also, they also have to face a lot of problems. Say for example, if a person who is crippled, okay, and he gets selected to a particular job, then the people are of the opinion that how can it be so? He must have availed some benefit, some extra benefit, which does not accrue to him. They also become the center of hate crime. And national origin or nationality, this is a portion of ethnicity only. And so it also comes into picture. Okay. Now, what are the major causes? First of all, let us see what are the major causes. The major causes are administrative failure, some anticipated threats, prejudices, which I have already talked about, lack of understanding of issues, armed conflict, and political patronage. Now, let me explain this particular thing. First is administrative failure. Now, how does administrative failure amount to hate crime? This is because the administration is not able to take adequate steps to stop hate crimes simultaneously. Say, for example, let me remind you two riots which took place in India. Or let me take the example of 1984 riots only, with the death of the Indian Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Okay, Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Now, when she was assassinated by the bodyguards of a particular religion, then the people targeted that particular religion. And it is alleged that the administration of those times, they, in a sort of a way, turned blind eye to it. This is alleged, okay? There is no conclusive evidence to prove this fact, but you can take it to be an example of administrative failure in case of causes of hate crimes. Many a time, hate crimes are also committed in anticipation of certain violence inflicted upon by the other group. Let me give you an example. Say, for example, there is group A and group B. Now, group A is anticipating certain kind of threats from group B. In anticipation of that threat, group A is going to inflict hate crime upon group B. Okay. Now, the prejudices I have already talked about in the earlier section also, that differences based upon gender, religion, race, ethnicity, when the people, they don't understand and there is a lack of general tolerance in the society, then these leads to hate crime. And in today's time, where there is scarcity of resources, then due to relative deprivation is the word for both the resources and identity, hate crime is on a rise. Now, the prejudices and the lack of understanding, they point to one and similar concept. Second is armed conflict. Yes, we all very well know that armed conflict is one of the many reasons of hate crime. And last is political patronage. When a certain group of people, they tend to get some kind of patronage from the ruling dispensation, then their move is boldened and they fear no one. Therefore, this goes on to increase this particular problem. Got the point? Now, coming to the impact part. Let me zoom it and show you that what are the general impacts. See, the first impact is that, okay, now, due to these kind of hate crimes, there is spiral in the criminal activity. Now, why there is spiral in the criminal activity? Two reasons. The first reason is that there is kind of a retaliation. Okay, retaliation by whom? On whom the hate crime is being committed. Clear? Got the point? Retaliation on whom the crime is committed. And when the retaliation is done against the person who has perpetuated the hate crime, he does not take it very tolerantly. He also retaliates. This kind of increases the crime spiral in the society. Okay. There is also increase from the minor crime to the major crime. Many a time, hate crime, they are in the nature of verbal abuse. They are in the nature of some, what I can say, some abuses or some minor skirmishes. But these minor skirmishes, if they are done continuously, repeatedly, then this turns to major crimes of violence, of battery, of, if I can say, attempt to murder, all these kind of a thing. There is also an increase in the general feeling of vulnerability among the people, vulnerability among the minority. Anger and frustration is the norm of the society because the people, they are in an awe that why such kind of a crime is being committed against them, what wrong have they done. And these anger and vulnerability, they many a time lead to many mental diseases, which may lead to anxiety and emotional imbalances. The mental trauma which a person faces due to hate crime also leads to many psychological repercussions. So for countering these particular things, we have some provisions in the IPC. Now, what are these provisions? See, the first provision is the section 153A of the IPC. Again, of a colonial background, but yes, we can utilize this particular thing to counter the issue. Whenever anyone is trying to promote enmity between the religious community, section 153A is called upon. Then one more subsection of section 153 is 153B, which means any kind of divisive statement which in a way dissuades national integration or religious sentiments. This is also reprimanded by the ruling authorities. Hate speech is also countered. Okay, now see how hate speech is countered. Hate speech is countered using section 295A, a very important section. Few days back, we had instances of sacrilege of religious text. So you must have heard that their section 295A was called upon. We also have the Representations of People Act. Now, in ROPA, we have one section where if a person is trying to garner votes on the name of caste, religion, region, or such myopic conception, then his election can be nullified. The recently implemented IT Act also has provision for such divisive statement. UAPA, implemented in 1967, has always come to the aid of the ruling authorities, the police, and the establishing regime. We also have certain section under the Child Marriage Restraining Act and the Dowry Prohibition Act. What the point? So all these things can be utilized for dealing with the issue of hate crimes. Look over here. There are some Supreme Court judgments also. Now, let me zoom it. If you can appreciate this particular thing, then look at it in great detail. How does Supreme Court judgment, they have acted as a guiding light for the ruling authorities and for the future judgments where they are going to try the hate crime cases. The first case is the T. Poonawalla case of 2017. In this case, there has been a provision where zero tolerance to hate crime is being talked upon by the center and the state. You have to set special task forces to prevent the hate crime. You have to fetch intelligence reports on mob violence and lynching. You also have to appoint a nodal officer of the rank of the superintendent of police in each district to counter the menace of mob violence. Also, it has also said that you should also fetch intelligence and make a database of people who are likely to commit the hate crime. In the Indian Constitution, we also have provisions of preventive detention. So you can also go one step forward, and in the way forward, you can write this particular point that the tool of preventive detention should be utilized sparingly yet usefully. Okay, so this was the T. Poonawalla case. The second case is the Amish Devgan case of 2020. Here, some of the provisions were that the hate crime is an attack on the dignity and the national unity. So it has to be tracked and it has to be countered in its word and spirit. Okay, now certain way forward which you should keep in mind. First of all is that the punishment should be proportional to the impact created. Now, how the punishment can be made proportional? See, if I can quote the K. Puttaswamy judgment, here right to privacy was given the status of a fundamental right and included in Article 21. Here the Supreme Court talked about a doctrine that even if a case arises where you need to curtail the right to privacy, one of the clause was it should be proportional, which means that any kind of a regressive measure should be proportional to the objective it tends to achieve. Therefore, in hate crime cases, the punishment should be proportional to the kind of impact created. Say, for example, if someone has abused someone, nothing of that sort was created. He could be given a small warning. He could be given a fine. That if he has said something and there was a communal violence, then he should be punished accordingly. Okay. Now see again. Direct disciplinary action should be taken against the administrative official and the police. Why? Because this will dissuade them from turning a blind eye to certain kind of a crime and be proactive investigators in such a kind of a case. We should also hold the political parties and the entities accountable who are resorting to such myopic conceptions of region, religion, caste during garnering votes in an election. Their political party should be given a warning and should be subsequently deregistered, which as of now, the power has not been given to the Election Commission. We should also prohibit the public office bearers to promote hate crime. The subordinate judiciary should be sensitized, which means the training should be done of the officials of the lower judiciary when they try the cases of hate crime. Okay. We also need to educate the youth and the students who are the major epicenter when such kind of a crime is created. The social media campaigns should be conducted among the activists, psychologists, lawyers, and religious leaders. There should also be a database where we have the data of certain kind of a thing, and they should contain seminar on a regular basis. And last but not the least, we should try to create a balance between the freedom of the speech and the dignity of every individual. In such a way, we can counter the menace of hate crimes. So in this video, we have seen the causes, impact, some Supreme Court judgments, and the way forward. I hope this is very clear to you. We will meet next time with one more mind map. Thank you very much.